Society does not want you awake. It wants you polite, useful, predictable, easy to shame, easy to guilt, easy to control. It teaches you to smile when something feels wrong, to stay quiet when someone crosses a line, to explain yourself to people who already decided not to understand you, to call it kindness when it is really fear. And the worst part? Most people defend the same system that keeps them weak. They call obedience maturity. They call people-pleasing humility. They call emotional dependence love. They call self-betrayal being a good person. Machiavelli understood something society hates to admit. People wear masks. They hide envy behind concern. They hide control behind love. They hide selfishness behind morality. They hide hunger behind manners. And if you cannot see the mask, you become useful to the person wearing it. By the end of this video, you will learn 7 brutal life lessons society never wants you to discover. Not so you become cruel, not so you become bitter, but so you stop being naive. Because number 7 will hurt the most. It will show you why your new life will make old people uncomfortable. Before we begin, drop this affirmation in the comments. I see beyond masks. Number 1, the more you need approval, the less people respect you. There is a weakness people can smell before you speak. It is the hunger to be liked. You can dress it up as kindness. You can call it being easygoing. You can pretend you are just trying to keep peace. But people know when your peace depends on their approval. And once they know, they test you. They delay their attention. They go cold. They make jokes at your expense. They push your boundary a little further. They watch how fast you apologize. This is one of the first brutal lessons. People do not respect what is too desperate to be accepted. A man who needs approval becomes easy to manage. Praise him, and he performs. Ignore him, and he panics. Criticize him, and he bends. Psychologically, approval-seeking outsources your self-worth. Your nervous system begins to treat other people's reactions as evidence of your value. When they smile, you feel safe. When they pull away, you feel threatened. That is how your identity becomes rented, not owned. Machiavelli understood that power often belongs to the person who needs less. The one who needs less approval has more freedom. The one who needs less validation has more control. The one who can walk away becomes difficult to own. Look at Marcus Aurelius. He ruled an empire, but his private writings were not about begging the crowd to love him. They were about duty, restraint, discipline, and self-command. Other people's approval is external. Your standard must be internal. Stop here for a second. Some of you do not want peace. You want permission. You want permission to speak, permission to say no, permission to be different, permission to stop laughing at disrespect, permission to stop being the version of yourself everyone can use. And you call that kindness because the truth would embarrass you. The moment you stop trying to make everyone like you, your energy changes. You speak with less fear. You explain less. You stop performing warmth for people who give you quiet disrespect. You stop apologizing for having standards. Some people will call you cold. Good. They were benefiting from your softness. Some people will say you changed. Good. You were supposed to. The old identity begs to be accepted. The new standard accepts the cost of being real. Weak people trade truth for approval. Strong people trade approval for freedom. The man who needs to be liked can be controlled by anyone willing to dislike him. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I need no permission to be myself. Number 2, not everyone who listens cares about you. Some people listen to understand you. Others listen to study you. That difference can change your life. A naive person hears, "You can trust me," and opens the vault. He gives away his fears, his wounds, his family problems, his insecurities, his plans, his emotional triggers, and his future moves. Then later, when the relationship changes, he is shocked when that information becomes a weapon. Do not be shocked. You handed them the blade. Machiavelli knew information was power. He understood that people do not only compete with force, They compete with knowledge. They watch patterns. They collect weaknesses. They remember what makes you react. And once someone knows how to move you emotionally, they do not need to be stronger than you. They only need to press the right spot. This is why oversharing feels harmless in the moment, but dangerous over time. Psychologically, oversharing often comes from anxiety. You speak too much because silence feels uncomfortable. You explain too much because you want to be understood. You reveal too much because reassurance feels like safety. But reassurance is not safety. Attention is not loyalty. Chemistry is not character. A controlled man does not reveal everything just because someone seems interested. He understands that access must be earned. Trust is not created by intensity. Trust is proven by consistency over time. Imagine this. You tell someone your biggest insecurity. At first, they comfort you. They make you feel safe. They say all the right things. You feel seen. Months later, during conflict, they repeat it back to you with precision, not by accident, with aim. That is when you learn the lesson. Some people were not holding your pain. They were saving it. This does not mean you become paranoid. It means you become selective. Share slowly, watch carefully, trust through evidence, not emotion. Abraham Lincoln understood restraint. In moments of anger, he would sometimes write harsh letters and then not send them. That is power, not because he had no emotion, but because he did not let emotion decide what left his hands. Your words are the same. Once spoken, they no longer belong only to you. Here's what most people never notice. You reveal too much when you are nervous. You reveal too much when you want approval. You reveal too much when you confuse attention with loyalty. You reveal too much when silence makes you feel judged. You reveal too much when you want someone to rescue you from yourself. And some people do not need to break into your life. You give them the password. The old identity says, I need to explain everything. The new standard says, not everyone deserves access. A strategist does not hide because he is afraid. He protects information because he understands timing. Quote-like line, silence protects what your emotions are too eager to expose. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I reveal only what serves me. Number 3, power does not change people. It exposes them. A person can look humble when they have no choice. They can look kind when they need something. They can look loyal when loyalty is convenient. They can look patient when they have no leverage. But give them power. Give them status. Give them attention. Give them a title. Give them authority over someone who cannot fight back. Then watch. Power does not always create a new person. Often it removes the mask from the old one. This is one of the darkest lessons society does not want you to fully understand. Many people are not as good as they appear. They are simply not powerful enough yet to reveal what they would do with leverage. Machiavelli understood the theater of social life. He knew people perform virtue when it benefits them. He knew appearances matter, but he also knew behavior under pressure reveals the truth. Watch how someone treats the waiter. Watch how they talk to the employee. Watch how they behave when they are winning. Watch how they act when nobody can punish them. Watch what they do when saying sorry would cost their pride. That is the real test. Psychologically, power reduces inhibition. When people feel protected by status, they often express traits they previously suppressed. The insecure become controlling. The arrogant become dismissive. The resentful become cruel. The disciplined become responsible. Power amplifies what was already there. Give a weak man a small title, and suddenly he speaks down to people. Give an insecure person attention, and suddenly they punish anyone who does not admire them. Give an undisciplined person money, and he does not become free. He becomes louder in his chaos. But give a disciplined man pressure, and his discipline becomes louder than his words. Kobe Bryant is a useful example in the opposite direction. Fame, money, and attention could have made him soft, but his identity was built around work. The more pressure rose, the more his discipline became visible. Power exposed obsession, not laziness. That is why you must study patterns, not promises. Words are cheap. Charm is cheap. Confidence is cheap. Polite behavior in public is cheap. Patterns are expensive because they require repetition. Here's what most people never notice. You can detect character early by watching small moments. How do they handle inconvenience? How do they react when corrected? Do they become cruel when embarrassed? Do they respect people who cannot benefit them? Do they disappear when they no longer need you? Do they treat private access as permission to disrespect you? These are not small things. These are leaks. A strategist studies leaks. The old identity believes what people say. The new standard believes what people repeatedly do. Weak people get hypnotized by charm. Strong people watch behavior over time. Average people ask, do they like me? Strategic people ask, what do their patterns reveal? Quote-like line, power is not the mask. Power is the hand that removes it. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I trust patterns, not promises. Number 4, kindness. Without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. Being kind does not mean being available for everyone's chaos. Being good does not mean becoming easy to drain. Being patient does not mean tolerating disrespect until your spirit collapses. Society praises endless giving because endless givers are useful. They do extra work. They absorb bad behavior. They say yes when they mean no. They forgive quickly. They stay quiet. They make everyone else comfortable while slowly disappearing inside. Then one day, they are exhausted, resentful, and empty. And people still ask for more. That is what happens when kindness has no boundary. Machiavelli would not call that virtue. He would call it vulnerability. Because when people discover there is no consequence for crossing your line, the line does not exist. Psychologically, boundaries teach others how to interact with you. They create structure. Without structure, people follow convenience. Not always from evil, sometimes from habit. They take more because more is available. Some people are not taking advantage of you because they are monsters. They are taking advantage because you trained them that there is no consequence. That hurts. Good. Truth should hurt when it removes an excuse. A controlled man understands this. He can be kind without being soft. He can be generous without being used. He can care without surrendering his dignity. He knows that every yes has a cost. He knows that every apology sends a signal. He knows that every tolerated pattern becomes an invitation. Now comes the dangerous part. Some of you call yourself kind because you are afraid of being disliked. You do not set boundaries because you fear guilt. You do not say no because you fear abandonment. You do not speak clearly because you fear conflict. That is not kindness. That is fear wearing a clean shirt. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your boundary begins there, not with controlling others, with controlling your own permission. When someone asks too much, you do not need a courtroom defense. No is enough. When someone disrespects your time, you do not need a long explanation. "This does not work for me" is enough. When someone calls your boundary selfish, you do not need to collapse. "I understand you do not like it, it still stands." That is the new standard. You are not cruel for having limits. You are not selfish for protecting energy. You are not cold for refusing manipulation. You are not wrong because someone dislikes the version of you they can no longer control. Quote-like line. A boundary is not a wall against love. It is a gate against disrespect. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My boundaries protect my power. Number 5. If you fear being alone, people can control you. A person who cannot be alone will accept almost anything to avoid silence, bad friends, half-love, disrespect, toxic conversations, dead relationships, fake loyalty, rooms full of people where he still feels invisible. That is why solitude scares society. A person who can sit alone without panic becomes difficult to manipulate. He no longer needs constant company to feel real. He no longer chases people who barely respect him. He no longer keeps damaging connections just because silence feels heavy. Machiavelli understood that emotional dependency weakens judgment. When someone knows you're afraid to lose them, they gain leverage. They can withdraw affection, delay replies, threaten distance, give you crumbs, and watch you call it hope. That is not connection. That is control. Psychologically, fear of loneliness activates threat systems in the brain. The mind reads disconnection as danger. That is why people return to harmful relationships even when they know better. The pain is familiar. The silence is unknown. But growth often begins in that silence. Imagine this. You stop texting first. You stop forcing conversation. You stop chasing the person who only appears when they need attention. At first, it feels like loss. Then your mind clears. You start noticing how much energy you were wasting. You start sleeping better. You start thinking better. You start hearing your own voice again. That is solitude doing its work. Schopenhauer believed much of human life is driven by distraction and avoidance. Silence removes distraction. It forces you to face what noise helped you avoid. That is why weak people fear it, and strong people use it. A powerful person can be alone without feeling abandoned. He can leave a room without needing to be followed. He can walk away without checking whether they regret losing him. That calm creates weight. People feel it. The old identity asks, what if they leave? The new standard asks, what if staying costs me myself? Weak people use relationships to escape themselves. Strong people build a self they do it not need to escape. Stop lying to yourself. Some of you are not loyal. You are scared. You are not patient. You are attached. You are not forgiving. You are afraid that if you finally walk away, the silence will prove you built your life around the wrong people. But that silence is not punishment. It is the room where your new identity starts breathing. Quote-like line, "The man who can stand alone cannot be bought with temporary attention." Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am complete in silence. Number 6, most people are living by programming, not choice. Many people do not choose their life. They inherit it. They inherit beliefs. They inherit fears. They inherit definitions of success. They inherit shame. They inherit the need to impress people they do not even respect. Then they call it identity. From childhood, society gives you scripts. Be agreeable. Be realistic. Do not stand out too much. Chase status. Stay busy. Prove you are normal. Buy what others buy. Want what others want. Fear what others fear. And if you never stop to question it, you will spend your whole life performing a role written by people who never asked who you were. That is not living. That is obedience with better branding. You chose the degree because it made your parents comfortable. You chose the job because it sounded safe. You stayed in the relationship because loneliness looked worse than resentment. You bought the car to impress people who are also pretending. You built a personality around being accepted by a crowd you secretly do not admire. Then one day, you call it burnout. No, sometimes it is not burnout. Sometimes it is your real self suffocating under a life you never chose. Machiavelli understood social pressure. People fear rejection from the group. They would rather live half alive than be misunderstood. That fear keeps them manageable. Psychologically, humans are wired for belonging. In ancient environments, exclusion could mean danger, but modern society exploits that wiring. It sells you identity through comparison. It makes the crowd feel like safety, even when the crowd is lost. Steve Jobs said, "Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life." That quote is repeated so often people forget how violent it really is. It means your life can be stolen politely, not by criminals, by expectations, by family pressure, by trends, by fear of judgment, by the need to look acceptable. A strategist questions the script. Why do I want this? Who taught me to value this? Is this ambition or performance? Is this discipline or fear? Is this my path or just the safest imitation? Would I still want this if nobody could see it? The old identity follows noise. The new standard chooses direction. You did not choose the dream. You inherited it. You did not choose the fear. You were trained into it. You did not choose the mask. You wore it so long you started calling it personality. Pause. observe, choose. Quote-like line, "A life you never questioned is a prison you helped decorate." Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose my own path. Number 7. Being misunderstood is the price of becoming free. This is where most people turn back, not because they cannot change, but because they cannot survive being misunderstood. The moment you change, people will misread you. Expect it. They will call your boundaries selfish. They will call your silence arrogance. They will call your discipline obsession. They will call your distance coldness. They will call your growth betrayal, not because they know you, because the old version was easier for them to control. This is the final brutal lesson. You cannot build a new identity while remaining fully understood by people attached to the old one. Machiavelli knew perception is unstable. People do not see you as you are. They see you through their fears, needs, memories, jealousy, insecurity, and expectations. That means explaining yourself endlessly will not save you. Some people are not confused. They are invested in misunderstanding you. Psychologically, when your change disrupts someone's image of you, it creates discomfort. They may pressure you to return to the version that made them feel safe. If you were always available, your boundary feels like rejection. If you were always agreeable, your honesty feels like aggression. If you are always insecure, your confidence feels like arrogance. That does not mean you are wrong. It means the pattern changed. Now comes the dangerous part. If you are still addicted to being understood, you will keep shrinking yourself to fit other people's comfort. You will explain every decision, defend every silence, justify every boundary, apologize for every upgrade. And one day, you will realize you did not lose yourself through failure. You lost yourself through negotiation. A controlled man accepts misinterpretation. He does not fight every rumor. He does not respond to every judgment. He does not need every person to clap for his transformation. He knows results explain what words cannot. Abraham Lincoln was hated, mocked, criticized, and misunderstood by millions during his lifetime. Yet he carried the burden of decision. History does not remember him because everyone understood him in the moment. History remembers him because he kept moving through the noise. That is the standard. This is the moment where boys stay bitter and men become dangerous. Not violent, not cruel. Dangerous because they no longer need permission to build power. Dangerous because they can be disliked and still move. Dangerous because they can be misunderstood and still choose discipline. Dangerous because guilt no longer drags them back to the version they outgrow. The old identity says they need to understand me. The new standard says they do not need to understand me for me to continue. You are not responsible for every story people create about you. You are not responsible for their discomfort with your growth. You are not responsible for staying small so they can feel familiar with you. You are responsible for your direction, your discipline, your self-control, your peace. Freedom begins when being misunderstood no longer makes you disobey yourself. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I move without explanation. These 7 lessons are not comfortable. They were never meant to be. Approval weakens you when you need it too badly. Oversharing exposes you when trust has not been earned. Power reveals people. Kindness without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. Fear of solitude makes you easy to control. Social programming steals your life quietly. And being misunderstood is the price of becoming free. This is not motivation. Motivation makes you feel good for a few minutes. This is identity replacement. The old identity needed approval. The new identity needs self-respect. The old identity overshared for reassurance. The new identity protects information. The old identity feared being alone. The new identity uses solitude to sharpen itself. The old identity followed the script. The new identity questions everything. The old identity explained everything. The new identity lets results speak. Machiavelli does not teach you to hate people. He teaches you to stop being blind. Stoicism does not teach you to feel nothing. It teaches you to stop being ruled by every feeling that appears. So now you decide. Will you keep living as the version society can guilt, shame, distract, and control? Or will you become the kind of person who sees beyond masks and moves with discipline? Like this video if this hit something you needed to hear. Subscribe for more videos about power, discipline, psychology, self-control, and emotional detachment. Share this with someone who needs to wake up before life teaches them the hard way. And drop this final affirmation in the comments. I am awake now. Remember this, the world changes when you stop believing every mask and start studying every pattern.